my journalism career is over. It's over. It's dead and gone. Okay? Kirstia Sheffield reporting for Action News. We'll never be doing that again. So as you can see from the title, we are having a sit down video. I'm going to give y'all the real tea why I left the news industry. So I have a couple of talking points I want to talk about, but grab your coffee, grab your wine, whatever you like to drink, and I just want to tell y'all just my personal experience and what really just gave me that kick, like it's time to go. So I went to Instagram. If you don't follow me on Instagram, what are you doing? At Kirstia Michelle, and I asked people, what do you want to know? Like, what questions do you have? Because I feel like this industry, there's a lot of misconceptions. People think it's so glamorous. People think you're on TV, so you're making all this money. And that's just simply not the case. So I have a few points, like I said. So let's just jump right into it. So the biggest reason why I left news is the pay. So like I said earlier, I think there are a lot of misconceptions about how much news reporters get paid. Now, keep in mind, I was just starting off, so this was my first gig. So of course, it's gonna be lower, but I didn't think this low. So I started off making $15 an hour. And this is a job that requires a college degree. Keep that in mind, and the things that we have to do. So I edited, I shot, I had to interview people, I had to drive places, and you were making $15 an hour. The most I got up to was 17, so I never hit 20. And during 2 years, half of my paycheck was going to rent. And then I had my car payment, and I would drive by McDonald's and see them paying more for managers than I was getting paid. And I was just like, are you kidding me? And just for all that I had to do, like, this job is not easy. If you know, you know. And during the 2 years, I'm gonna be honest, I racked up credit card debt. It was insane. So now I'm having to deal with those consequences and having to pay that off. So that's just great. But honestly, I just felt like I could do way less work for more money. And I think, again, because people think you're on TV, you're in front of the camera, you have to be making tons of money. I think when I tell people I'm a news reporter or I was a news reporter, they would just go, oh my gosh, are you serious? And they would just think it's so just glamorous, and it's not. And a lot of the people, now there are, our Gayle Kings, our Tashara Parkers, our Oprah Winfreys that are making bank. Don't get me wrong. But for most of the people that you see, it is a big disparity. They might be living in a bigger city, but the money still isn't matching up to what they should be making. And I just think it's an underpaid career. And I know I was talking to my former boss, and he said he doesn't know any journalist, and he's been doing this for decades, that's rich or that can live a sustainable life. And I just don't think, no. So I think one of the questions that someone asked me, what's the schedule like, and is the income enough to live off of? So from my experience, the income is not enough to live off of. That's why I racked up credit card debt. Thank God I have amazing parents that helped me, and my boyfriend, he would help me as far as flights go. So I'm just telling y'all, no, it's not enough to live off of, especially the first market. Now, it might get better. I've never went to the next market. It might get better. But from my experience, I just think $15 is insane. It's actually criminal. So, and the schedule, I know a lot of people, they thought that I worked this crazy schedule. I had the day side shift all of my 2 years, because my station, we had a sister station that did the morning shift. So I never had to get up at the crack of dawn. So my schedule was nice. Now, there were times I would get off at 7, 8, 9 o'clock, depending on if I'm shooting a story for the next day, but that was rarely that happened. Or if there's breaking news, then of course you have to stay later. But honestly, my schedule was the least of my concerns. It was the pay. So that's number one. That's the first reason why. Number two, The reason why I wanted to leave the news industry is because I was missing family, I was missing friends, I was missing holidays. As a news reporter, the news is 24/7 every day, 7 days a week. Unlike other companies where you get a Christmas break, or you might be able to take off this time, or Martin Luther King Day, you get a holiday. It does not work that way. You are on 24/7. And I didn't go home in the 2 years that I was living there. I didn't go home one time. I went one time, and that ticket was like $900. So it was a no. So like I said, I never got to visit my family, and family is everything to me. Life is way too short, and missing out on holidays, like, I'm such a holiday girl, so it was just hard for me to give that up. And I just feel like, for me, life, I was not put on this world to work. You get what I'm saying? I just work so I can live my real life. I don't live to work, if you get what I'm saying. So for people who are passionate about this, which I don't want this video to make it seem like, don't be a journalist, it's terrible, because it's not. This is just my personal experience, and during this 2 years I found out that I wasn't as passionate as I thought I was, and that's okay. But for people who may be wanting to enter this career, I would say give it a try, because I never regret doing that. But it just made me realize you're not going to keep wasting your time doing it, for me. So the third reason why I decided to leave was safety reasons. So as I mentioned before, my job title was a multimedia journalist. So this means I was my own camera person. I edited, I wrote, I reached out to people to do interviews, I came up with the questions. I did everything for a news package. I did everything and then some. And then you have to front the package. So that means going in studio, that means doing a live, that means doing a stand-up. So I did all the things. But when I talk about safety, I want to talk about, I was sent out to homicide scenes where people got murdered, people got shot, and I had to go and shoot by myself as a woman. There were so many instances where people would drive up on me. I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know if they're going to shoot me. I don't know, because you know this world is crazy, and I'm a black woman, and you know how people feel about black people. So there were just so many instances where men would come up to me, and I have nothing to defend myself, and I'm just praying to God. He protected me. But so many instances like that, so many instances where neighbors would come up, what are you doing out here? I'm like, relax. And I remember this one time I had to go in the middle of Timbuktu because there was a dead body that was found. And I had talked to the police because I had to get an interview and more information. And he told me, you should not be out there by yourself. He said that. But guess what? That's just my job. Okay? So I had addressed this because I just think not having a photographer or not having one other person to be there is ridiculous, especially as women, and they would want us to go door knocking. I never did that. I'm like, I would rather not get the story than knock on some random door. Like, no. And there were times that I would be in people's houses. I'm by myself. I don't know what they could be thinking, because I don't know if people know I'm black before I get there. You just never know. So it's just a lot of times where I felt extremely unsafe in the fact that there was no location. My managers at the time didn't really seem to care about your safety. And there would be times where I would be going somewhere. Like, I remember I had to cover this fire, and a lot of times the fires are in the middle of the woods. So they send you out, okay, I'm gonna need you to do this story for the fire. Okay, cool. And I hate fire stories, but anyways, so you go out in the middle of the woods, no service. So I'm walking around, I'm like, hey, I need to get an interview, and I need to get in an area where I can take footage of the fire that's safe. So I got in this random guy's truck. I mean, he worked for the fire department, but still, I got in his truck. It was me and him, and we in the woods just driving around, and I don't have no service, just me and him, and I just met this guy. Now, in my day-to-day life, I would never get in a stranger's car, ever. You get what I'm saying? Because they lock them doors, I could be gone forever. But for my job, for $15 an hour, that's what I was required to do. So it was a no for me. The next big reason why I got out of the industry was anxiety. Now, before I got to this job, you guys, I never even knew what anxiety felt like. I heard about it, but I was like, I don't really relate to that. But when I started this job, especially in the beginning, when I tell you guys, I would wake up, my stomach hurting. I couldn't eat anything. I couldn't keep anything down because I was so nervous. I was so anxious because keep in mind, every single day, you have to have a story idea. And you have less than 8 hours to get that story done. So we have 3 pitches that you have to turn in before you even start your shift. So you have to, what are my 3 ideas for the day? And sometimes there are no ideas, but you got to make up something. And in those story ideas, you would have to have your pitch. You would have to have who you're going to talk to. You would have to have what are you going to shoot. And then you need to have like a who cares? Why should we be covering this story? And your news director, he would either say yay or nay. I don't like that, or that's stupid. And what if all of them are stupid? Well, back to the drawing board. So you had to create, once you send those pictures off, you get to work. It's a clock. You got less than 8 hours to complete essentially 3 stories, because you have to do your package, you have to write a VOSI, and then you have to do a VOSI version of the package. So 3 stories in less than 8 hours. And another thing that gives you anxiety is because this is not a job that solely depends on me. I have to depend on other people because I have to interview the experts, whether that's doctors, whether that's psychologists, whether that's teachers, whether that's people in the community that are being affected by the story that I'm doing. And that is sometimes the hardest part, because people, first of all, people work, so they can't just be like, okay, I'm gonna interview you, or they'll be like, oh, I can interview you tomorrow. No, I need the story today. So that would give me anxiety. A lot of times stories will fall through, like 3 stories, and you gotta keep finding stories, and just, you can't fail because you have to produce something. You can never not be like, well, I don't have anything. You can never not just say that. Something needs to be turned in. Something. So I will say that did get better with time, because the more I was in the community, the more I had an idea about what stories there were and who I need to talk to. So I will say that got easier. But in the beginning, I didn't think I was gonna make it. I was sick to my stomach. Sick. So that was a big thing, and I had never experienced that before. I had to put on the whole armor of God, okay? The whole armor. Because, girl, I was struggling. So I got 2 more points. I'm really not trying to make this video too long, but I just want to give y'all my experience. So the other thing was I hated being in a contract. I don't think people understand. News industry, you have to sign that dotted line. You have to give your life away, okay? And my contract was 2 years. Even if you're unhappy, you can't leave. Even if you don't want to be there anymore, you can't leave. Because guess what? You gotta pay to get out of the contract. Pay money to get out of the contract. So let's say you end up working for a news station that is just terrible. Good luck. Good luck. I mean, I have seen so many horror stories how people are depressed. They're thinking about suicide, and you can't get out the contract. You just can't, because first of all, you making $15 an hour. So how are you gonna get out the contract with that kind of money? So they set it up like that because they know if there wasn't a contract, it would be a revolving door. And that was another main reason why I was like, I cannot continue, because the next contract will probably be 3 years, and I cannot waste 3 years of my life. I want to be able to come and go. If I don't like it, then I'm leaving. You get what I'm saying? So that was just really hard, and you're committing your life for this set amount of time to that job, to that location, and you can't leave. It feels like prison. It feels like prison. And it's a system created to literally keep you there. So I'm good. And lastly, I want to specifically talk about my station that I worked at. I would just say, this is the last point. I would just say that it was not the cleanest place to work in. It looked like a jail cell. You come in, the outside is ratted and tatted. There were a lot of times there were bugs. No one cleaned it up. And it was a male-dominant environment. It just made me uncomfortable sometimes. Like, there was misogyny that I had to deal with, which I've never dealt with before, but that's the real life. I never really dealt with racism, which was surprising, but definitely misogyny, and it was just uncomfortable. I know another coworker, she was a woman that worked there, and she got out. She ran. She got out that contract because it was that bad sometimes, and I didn't feel protected as an employee. I know I mentioned earlier on safety, but there was another instant where I thought, these people do not care. So there was a time, it was all over the news, a news reporter in Florida died on the scene. He got shot on the scene of a homicide, which, where I was located, homicides happen every week. We all have been on the scene of a homicide by ourselves, and he died on that scene. When I tell you there were crickets, my boss didn't say anything. They didn't send an email. They didn't do a mental health check. They didn't do a safety reminder. They were just like, who cares? People die every day. Your life, basically, your life doesn't mean anything. And that's when I was like, and I had someone, a police officer, text me and was like, I'm so sorry that happened. Be safe. My own boss didn't even say that. So I was just like, it's done. My heart wasn't in it anymore. And I had to leave. So those are the main reasons why that I left. But I also want to answer some specific questions that people had for me. So one of my first questions was, how are you feeling since you left? Honestly, I thought that I would miss it, but I don't. And that's how I know it was time to go. Like, I feel relieved. I feel at peace. I feel calm. I'm so glad that I don't have to be ripping and running and coming up with a story and talking to people. And I feel relieved, honestly. And I feel very at peace with my decision. And that's all that I could really ask for. That's all that I could ask for. So what are some difficult things about the job that people don't know? I think I have pretty much already mentioned that. I just think people don't realize that you are doing everything behind and in front of the camera. You are going everywhere. There were times I was in places I had never been before, like trailer parks, and going in people's houses, and it's tiny and it's dark and there's 15 cats all over the place. It smells like cigarettes. It's trash everywhere. But I was there. I was there in their house. And it's just uncomfortable. Or having to be with people on the worst day of their lives. I will never forget that I was on the scene of a search and rescue for a 5-year-old boy. I only saw that in movies. So that was crazy to see and just be with the families and with them in this heartache. Or another time when I went to a family's house and they were grieving, their loved one was brutally murdered, and I'm in their home with a bunch of people I don't know who are crying, or people who had cancer. I'm going to them, I'm talking to them, hearing their story. I just think you don't realize that you're going into people's home. You're meeting people where they are, and it puts you in a vulnerable place every single day, because I don't know what I'm going to get. I don't know how these people are going to react. I know one of the last days of my job, there was a 15-year-old girl who got shot in a park, you guys, and I was there ready for my camera, and her family was there, but they told me, they was like, hey, I was like, what's up? And they were like, we don't want you here. Baby, when I tell you I packed my bag so fast, but the old me would have been like, oh my gosh, what am I supposed to do? But new me, I was like, but it's just like, you never know what you're gonna get. You never know what people are gonna say when you talk to them. And thank God, I never had any bad experience as far as people just being super mean. But I have had people just say, we don't want you here, you need to leave. And it just puts you in an uncomfortable situation, and having to just go and talk to people you don't know. I'm just saying, and going hours away, so it's unfamiliar territory. It's just a lot that you have to think about. It's just a lot you have to be aware of. You have to be sensitive. You have to be kind. And you got to take God with you. I took God with me every single day on that job because I just did not know. I did not know. If anything, what do you miss? Was the next question. I miss the community. Y'all saw in the last video, I got an award. I loved those people, and I loved serving the community. That's why I got into journalism in the first place. And I ended up taking on that Yakima Good. That story, if it wasn't for that segment, I don't know if I would have survived. But that segment gave me life to focus on the positive and to meet people who are willing to talk and to find new organizations and just things that are there in the community to help people. That's what I miss, and that's what I'm trying to look for. Excuse me. And the next job that I go to is, what can I do that serves my community but not in that capacity, if you get what I'm saying. Another question is, will you ever go back? That's a easy answer. No, that's a hard no. My journalism career is over. It's over. It's dead and gone. Okay. Kirsty Sheffield reporting for Action News. We'll never be doing that again. I'm good. And someone wanted me to share the good things. And then I'm closing my laptop because that's all I got for y'all, because this is not a long video. The good things. There are so many good things. And like I mentioned before, if you are wanting to go into this career, you should. I don't regret anything from my past 2 years. I've become a better woman. I've become more empathetic to people. I've been on homeless encampments. I've talked to people who have nothing, who made me just be humbled. It's a great learning experience. I know how to talk to anybody. I mean, I've talked to state representatives. I've talked to governors. The governor, city council, county commissioners. I just feel like a well-rounded individual, and the skills that I've learned from this job have been worthwhile. So I just thank God for putting me on this journey. But again, I just want to say, I think my story is a true testament to, you don't have to stay on one path, and change is good. Change is necessary to grow. And I feel like I've grown with being a journalist, but I just think there are things that need to change in this career, because the way that they treat people, the pay that they get away with, it's terrible, and it should not be that way, because journalism is such an important component of our society. If we don't have that, if we don't have people that hold other people accountable, then we just got people spewing lies and getting away with so much corrupt. They already do. But imagine if they didn't have journalists really investigating and doing the digging. I don't know what we would be as a society. So it hurts me that we get treated in that way. And some people have experienced worse. Some people have experienced better. That's why I say, go do it. You never know it till you try it. That's what I say. But at the end of the day, I don't regret anything. I've made beautiful connections. There have been amazing people on this journey, and Yakima was a great place for me to start, as far as getting to explore the outside and the inside. But it's on to the next, and I can't wait to share it with you guys, because my journey, it's a lot of exciting things going on, but I cannot wait for what's next. But thank you for tuning in to the video. I love you guys. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Comment other videos, or comment anything that was surprising to you, or anything. Put a heart. I don't know. Just show me some love. But I really appreciate you guys tuning in. And stay tuned for the next video. Okay, I'm done.